Well, as you can tell, we are back at the campground with Photog, and now is the time to have the real conversations about evacuation of septic stuff.
Oh boy. We got our roads in, hey!
We got the roads in. Everybody's happy with the roads. This is kind of a temped-in ditch line that may change long term. But the ultimate goal today is for Mark and I to shoot the elevation on the far end, shoot the elevation on the far end, shoot the elevation in the center, where 3 roads will be established and have 62 campsites.
Right.
62 campsites is the goal. Let's just use 60. 60 campsites is the goal for here, and then shoot another elevation for the potential cabins that go along the river, and also get an understanding if we can potentially make a really nice view and have campground right up against a pond.
A pond. Wouldn't that be nice?
That's a lot, but we just have to take a few elevations to get to that point. So let's get the laser set up and get this started. Okay. All right, so you guys are gonna have to deal with this annoying beep, but Mark is gonna throw a flag down everywhere we check an elevation. This elevation is 4 feet, 1/4 inch. And the goal to this is from that end, even though that's downhill, feed a pipe, gravity fed to this corner, turn and put a header all the way out over that direction. And then on that side of the road, we would be able to run 1 pipe and get 2 different directions of campsites. Here is 1 pipe for 1 direction of campsite. So now let's go check the center. I'm betting we're gonna be a little higher in the center. I feel like this property is crowned from the middle out.
Kind of looks that way.
And that's also why these ditches are in here.
I'm hoping for 6 inches.
Yeah, and for us, we really don't care as long as we can get a 1/4 inch per foot on the pipe from one end to the other. I'm thinking right up here by this evergreen tree is going to be close to center. Yep. You agree?
Yep.
Let's see what we got. And let's get in line with our... It's actually lower. Okay, so now if you'll hold the camera and be the cameraman for a minute.
Okay, I got it.
I'll get us an exact dimension. It's gonna hit right on the plastic. Definitely not higher. .3.5 is where we are in the center.
Okay.
So now let's go to the far end. 4'3.5". Yep, right there. Now we're going to go all the way to the far end because, as mentioned earlier, our best suited site for the holding tanks that will be gravity fed by these pipes to then gravity feed a pump tank, which will pump it up to the field bed, which is out of the floodplain. We'll show you guys that here in a minute. That's what we're trying to get a rough idea of how this thing needs to be laid out. And then to truly do it per the state's requirements, you have to hire an engineering group to lay this out and put an engineering stamp on it. And what this comes down to is the proper way to get campground approval and opening, right?
Right here.
Right there?
Yep. Since we have an angle come in.
Okay.
This is the site here.
I can see it in my eyeballs. You want to take the camera?
Got it.
We're going to be up here somewhere. .7". Let me get level. 5'7" and a quarter.
Okay.
Right there. So we know we started at 4 feet. Now we're 5'7", so that is 1 foot 7 inches lower here than that side. So if we put this pipe on the ground, we're guaranteed to end up 1 foot in the ground over there.
If we were level.
If we were level, that's exactly right. And then you add a 1/4 inch per whatever this distance is, which Mark is, he's got his little roller there. When we get done flagging this off, Mark's gonna get the distance so we know our 1/4 inch per foot. I'm gonna guess this is somewhere around 400 to 500 feet. So that's gonna be 11 inches, somewhere around 11 inches, right? Yeah. Something like that. I'd have to do the math, but you guys can fact check me on the math. We're gonna get over here to this other side and establish where our center's gonna be. We'll be right back. Okay, so if I understand you correctly, this stake is the center between 2 different angled sites.
Yes.
Road that way, road this way. So this being the center, we're gonna shoot our elevation top to bottom so we can feed double the amount of sites to one header, main line, whatever you want to call it. Whereas over there, the header or the main line is just one site teed in. Here we'll be able to double our tee, run a pipe that way and run a pipe that way for connections on the campus. And we are significantly lower here. Hopefully the shelter house is, oh, I got it. All right, so I need to add about 4 feet to that. Let's go 7'6". More than that. Another foot. We're getting closer. We're almost to 9 feet, Mark. We started at 4 feet. We're at 8'10" so far. I don't think I can get it here because of that tree. 8'10". We're 4'9 3/4 lower here. And I know a lot of you guys that understand, sorry about that, move to camera view. I know a lot of you guys that understand poop rolls downhill. It would make a whole lot of sense for those headers to run this direction because the ground pitches to the river. However, you see my yellow Jeep, and then you see the red cabin on the hill. The red cabin is sitting in the center of the field bed that we're trying to pump to. So realistically, it would be great because the ground naturally allows us to come this direction, but we got to go all the way over there with the effluent.
We got to roll downhill to get back uphill.
So we're going to, this is my thought process. If we build up this entire corner, it's going to be needed for your potential pond. You guys can see that trash can that's blowed around in the wind and ended up in the ditch. That is the potential area for the pond, and we'll elaborate on that here in a moment. We have to bring this driveway up. So if we're going to bring this driveway up for the pond to be able to work, we might as well bring this corner up and get it close to where we're only that foot off, because I don't mind the surface water running this way to evacuate the property, but we can make our pipe 2 feet in the ground over here, which is guaranteed going to put us 3 feet in the ground on the other end because we gain a foot of elevation, and 3 feet's not a big deal, right? 7, 8, 9, 10 feet in the ground. That starts to create setbacks and trench boxes and yada, yada, yada.
Scary to get in the ground.
So I believe to mitigate your pump size that's needed to pump, let's just say from our lowest point down here by your car, all the way up there, you're gonna have a really, really big pump. So in order to shave some cost off of that, I think the dirt work is gonna be lower cost you're gonna want to do it anyway because of the pond.
Right.
So it's kind of a trade-off. And then we make everything run that direction, which shortens up your elevation change and shortens up your pump distance. So you might be able to get back to a standard pump. We got to check all that out, but I guarantee you're going to need some crazy pump if we're all the way over here.
Right.
Because now you're 600 feet away, plus more elevation. We just confirmed it's almost 5 more feet
Right.
of elevation, when we already have probably 7 feet of elevation we're going to pump up.
Easy.
If we're all the way on that end.
Right.
This is just me taking the commonsensical approach
Right.
and trying to spend your money the best I can. All right, so we've got this end. We're going to work our way all the way to the other end, checking 2 more points, and then we're going to go out on that hump because he's thinking he might try to sneak some campsites a little closer to the potential body of water, right?
It'd be nice to have a campsite on a pond. Huh?
Yeah, you're going to have a river view / pond option, assuming the soil test right. There's some outliers to all this.
It's gonna do that.
Let's head this direction, take 2 more points, and see where we're at. All right, we have a whole bunch of obstructions here. We got trees, shelter house, limbs. Let's see if we can find this laser. Oh, it's got to be right here. I can see it in my eyes. There it is. $4'10" 3/4. We're getting back to close to the same elevation as we were on that corner. We're 10.5 inches lower here than that corner that we started at. Now let's head up here straight across from the first orange flag. I'm betting you we're going to be a little higher depending on which point we pick.
For sure.
Right, because it runs from there into this ditch, so it's a pretty easy guess to make. And then we'll go over and shoot a couple of elevations over on this flat part where he's got some other stakes driven, so we can try to make sure that all these things poop runs downhill. That's the goal. So this stake here would be the center again?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. See what we got. Not even gonna move it. Gotta go down, which means we're higher. $4'5.5". So we are 5 1/4 inches higher than our first, but really close to the same. What were we in the middle over there? 4'3". So yeah, we're 2 inches difference from the center of that road to the center of these 2 campgrounds. So that's telling me if we build up that corner, we can get everything to flow this way.
Okay.
Now let's go check this other side. So now if you guys look over at those 2 orange flags, we're thinking that center flag, not the furthest flag, can be the main hub. We're going to check our elevation to make sure we grow in elevation this way. We know we can make it fall in elevation this way, and our holding tanks, which will feed our pump tank, will go where you see this pond, which is already a hole in the ground. We don't have to do much excavation, but we do have to drain the pond, get all the muck out of the pond, because you can't backfill on top of that sediment. That sediment will never, ever solidify. So we got to basically dredge it out with the dozer or the excavator, set our tanks in the bottom, and then fill around them. Make sense? Let's see what we got here. I think we're going to continually grow, and then it starts to fall off on the backside. But you're not going all the way to the tree line with your campsites. Definitely higher. $3'5". Yep, $3'5" here. We'll just remember these. We'll do these quickly.
Oh, wait a minute, let me put
I gotta put a flag in the ground.
Put a flag.
You can see where I stomped the grass down. Right there.
Ah. Flag in the ground.
$3'5".
Sorry about all the movement there.
Yeah, they'll be all right with that. Trust me, they deal with my crazy bud. Get us a somewhat of a straight line here. Three foot, 3.5. And I'm pretty confident we're gonna start falling right at this next stage, which you need your 65 feet.
What was that last one?
3 foot, 3.5. We have it on video, so if I'm wrong, when I edit this, I'll give you the correction. But now you need your 65 feet for your last camper here, right?
Right.
So if we shoot it here, I think we're falling now, which is okay because we can build this up a little bit if we need to, or take that down a little.
Plenty of dirt.
Plenty of places to go with dirt, that's for sure. Three foot 6.
1 inch.
1 inch. And I don't think you're going to fit another one unless you turn it this way.
And that's a possibility.
So do you want to check the far end too?
Yeah,
then?
let's go and do that. Let me put the
right there.
stake in the ground.
If they could back in.
This could be a pull through.
Yeah.
Pull through turn.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Got to go more over here to get us keep our straight, which we can. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. So we're higher. Yep. .4'9 1/4. So now we're back to close to the same elevation we had over there in the center again. So we were almost exactly 4 foot on our first flag there. That's going to tie in quite nicely. Now we get to go figure out how much elevation change we have, because you guys can see that hillside. That's that red cabin I pointed at earlier. That's where the field bed has to go. It's the only spot out of the floodplain, so we soil tested there, and we can fit a big enough system for what we mentioned earlier, basically 60 sites.
60 sites.
Plus a bathhouse. Those have to be independent sites.
Independent sites.
And I will say this, you guys are going to be able to see how all this was thought through, how all this was created, and how, I'm assuming you're going to talk about your business plan as well.
Yep.
Mark doesn't have a channel yet, but he has the footage. So he's going to create a channel and basically show people on YouTube how he created a campsite the right way, the legal way, and to be able to run it as a real business.
And how much fun is this? We're
Right.
building a community, a subdivision.
Yes.
And I am not an engineer, but I like to play one on TV. I did sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh, well, there you go.
We're good.
That's what matters. So now we're going to go up and check the elevation to see how high we have to pump and get a rough distance from the center of the pond, guesstimate, to the top of the hill,
Yeah.
so we can size our pump.
Yeah, you're going
in the water.
You're going in the
I
water.
beat you to it. No, actually, I'll pull up the app on my phone and we'll drop 2 pins and we'll see how far that
We'll call
is.
it
So
good.
we're not getting
Until
wet
we're
today,
drained.
other than the rain. We're gonna get wet
Rain
by
is
the
coming
rain,
in.
but let us get over there. We have to reset the laser up. I got to put the laser on top of the hill to be able to shoot the bottom of the hill, because the laser doesn't work the other way around. So we're gonna get reset up and we'll be right back. All right, main drive coming in needs to be elevated for pond retention. Instead of these being camp sites, Mark's thought process is he owns just past the brush pile to that black pipe you see in the ground right there. 4 cabins? 6 cabins? How many?
I just figured out. So 11.
11 cabins from 10 feet off the property line through this area, through the original pavilion shelter house, if you will. Do you know how many wedding receptions I've been to? And that was the party happening place right there?
Yeah.
This whole place would be packed with cars. Anyway, so 11 cabins down through here that offers a different type of rental space. 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom type thing.
Basically a 1-bedroom, but 2 beds. So with a lofted bed for kids.
Gotcha, okay.
So it'll be designed for a family of 4.
Gotcha,
2
and
parents,
11 of them.
2 parents, 2
So
kids.
44 potential people in the cabins. And they have a very good view of the Ohio River. Hey, look, there's 2 ducks right there. And Mark, long term, the river's up right now, so you can't see his dock. You can barely see his dock. But Mark, long term, is going to also renovate the dock and have better access to the water. Hey, is that someone else's and you just gained it?
That is mine.
Oh boy.
From down there. And I gained it down here.
Yeah.
It's actually been moved to where I want it. So.
Fun river adventures, right? So what we're going to do is shoot this concrete pad and try to keep that elevation consistent, but confirm, can we get the not so clean stuff from here to the other side? And with what I'm seeing, I'm highly doubting
It's
it.
a different kind of river flow.
Yeah, you want to take and be the cameraman?
Got
and
it.
See if I can find our loser.
I can see it. Oh, it's going to be down. It's low. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, this is still on.
It's not that low.
Well, it didn't pick up. Watch the laser shut off way over there. My receiver's on. I gotta go outside of here just a second.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see the laser.
Oh, it's going right through that tree limb.
Yep. Maybe. No, because then the telephone pole blocks it. Add a foot.
I would have thought it'd been lower.
Which we are a little higher over there, so maybe instead of using this elevation, we go use that elevation and we could get fall out of it.
Or we're going to have to get fall out of this whole line anyway, so.
Right. Down just a little bit. 7'8". One more inch. Oh, there I'm level. So I'm an 1/8 inch off. 7'7".
Okay.
So we're 3 feet lower than that one on the far side.
7 foot.
7 inches.
7 foot.
Which makes us 3 feet lower, 3'7" from our top corner closest to the Jeep. Phew! This side here might make more sense to build it up to achieve the fall. Otherwise, you might have to add a pump tank. And that's a whole long way to be pumping. We'll check that distance, but let's go right up here and see if we're any higher. I'm betting we're going to be right around this telephone pole, because it drops back off over there by that shelter house. So if we say let's make it all this elevation, you're not adding much. You want to be the cameraman again, sir?
Do it.
Foot 1.5. So we gained 6 inches of elevation from there to here. So you're only talking about 6 inches of fill. Now what we'll have to do once we get our distances is run the numbers and see if 6 inches of fill makes it worth it or not. And I did run an audible on you guys. I said we were going to go check the field bed elevation, but I forgot about the cabins, so here we are. And we know we gain a little bit more elevation to that corner, so I guess we could check the highest point and see if we filled it all. You're getting rid of this shelter house anyway.
Right.
And that one there was a maybe. So yeah, let's go check the far side. Let's walk over here, we'll check this last elevation, then we'll go check the field bed. All right, Mark, do you agree this is probably the highest point?
I think so, yeah.
I'm thinking so too. We might gain another inch on the back side of that tree, but that tree will end up being in our way for shooting the elevation. Oh, dang, that was a close guess. (6'9½).
Oh.
And we were 7 foot. 6'9½". And we were 7'1", so that's another 3 inches. So now you're talking 9 inches of fill, which isn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
It may make sense to just bring it all up to this highest point, but we got to run the numbers to confirm that that even helps, because it may not help at all. So now you guys can see the backside here. You can see there's a high point at that tree, and then a low point, and then there's another tree over there with a tire on it. That would be a short dam to retain water in this low area, which honestly would give you almost a horseshoe shaped, probably close to 3/4 of an acre of water, about 7 feet deep.
It's a pretty good pool.
That's a pretty good pool of water.
Yeah.
7 feet deep, 3/4 of an acre. And by the time we carve out the peninsula to use some of that dirt and bring that back to level that up, it might end up being a full acre. On Hunt Stand, I'll plot this out for you guys so you can really see, because right now we're just talking through it, getting elevations. I'll plot all this out on Hunt Stand so you guys can kind of see, and I'm not drawing all the individual campsites. I'm going to go off the contour of the land and just draw that out and put some straight lines on it, but that'll allow you guys to put a real image with, actually a picture, if you will, with what Mark and I are thinking on all this. So let's go reset up the laser this time for real. And check the elevation of the field bed so we know how high we have to pump it, and then I'll take a point-to-point on my phone to get length.
Sounds great.
More walking, sir. All right, so this is the field bed location. You guys can see this dirt here. That's where we dug the soil test, borings, and samples. We have a 75 feet long by 65 feet wide, right? 75 by 65. The pipes will run this way. We need to get an elevation right here, which is close to the center of the bed. The bed has to be put in basically level. Three feet. 3 feet is the top elevation. Now let's see. Oh boy. Hopefully my stick's long enough. Be careful how you say that one, huh? Hopefully my stick's long enough. So now we got to get down here and figure out how much elevation we're pumping. And like I said earlier, I can take a point, which is that pipe in the middle of the pond, on my phone and check it to the center of the field bed to see how far we're pumping. If my stick isn't long enough, I have a tape measure in the Jeep. We can measure from the bottom of the stick to the ground. I'm just going to put it at the very top. Pretty confident we're going to need every bit of stick we got.
I think so.
So roughly 14 feet. Let me go grab the tape measure. I'll be right back. You ready for this? Let me get 4 feet out here. What's that look like on the tape measure?
3 foot 1 1/4.
3 foot 1 plus 10, 13 foot 1 1/4. And that's, we're not trying to get exact here, folks. We're just trying to get close, because these pumps, the way they work is you've got a certain distance that you can pump based on your elevation change. And I'm pretty sure it was 220. You can go up to 200 feet and up to 20 feet in elevation with a standard pump. I've got to confirm those numbers. I haven't asked that question for 2 years. So we need to confirm those numbers. And now what I'm going to do is, well, just got him a bite right there. The center of that pipe, if this pond is essentially a circle, I'll pull up the Hunt Stand app here, go to my map editor. I'll try to do this with you guys in my hands here. Zoom in on where it tells me I am, which should be this campground. That pond, I don't know who built it, but I think they drove a stake in the center and made a perfect circle. You can see that white spot right in the middle. That's that pipe. We also know that this red/white roof, gray if you will, is that house right there, and we're on this side of that. You can also see the shed sitting right there, and the field bed is on this side of it. So if we check a distance here, we go from center of pipe to center of field bed, which really we don't need to go to center. We need to go to this bottom corner, which is going to be somewhere right around in there. That is 114 feet, sir. From the center to, call it center/corner of field bed up there. Okay. So 114 feet of distance. It's getting ready to storm on us. I'm glad we're done. And what was the height? 13, 1 1/4. So call it 13.2 for safe measure. And 113 feet, right? Isn't that what I said? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now all I gotta do is call the pump manufacturer, the tank manufacturer, because what we like to purchase is a tank and pump all in one. So you set the tank, and the only thing we'll have to do is get power over here that was capable of a 12-2 wire, so a 20 amp circuit, and a 14-2 wire for your high water alarm. So if that thing gets to where it's not pumping, this entire campground will hear your pump screaming.
2 lines.
2 lines, yes. 12-2 and 14-2. Okay. So if we just get power over here and get some type of a post next to the tank with a GFI on it, you can plug both of them right into that same outlet and you're ready to rock, basically. Cool. Well, that gets everything you need for the engineering group. That gets everything I need to have conversations with Michael in regard to what you really ultimately want here now.
Right.
And the best part of it all is it is March 2024. This is not a video made 2 years ago. And your hope is to have this thing open and running by June.
April 1st.
That's not going to happen.
No. June would be nice to have at least some campsites ready to go.
So that's our goal, a short time frame, and it takes the state health department 30 days to approve the plan.
Once they have it.
Once they have it. So the engineering group has a certain time. So now you start getting time frame stack ups. We have told Mark we've kept 30 days open in our schedule just for him. We're not going to need 30 days, but I hope not. But we've kept 30 days open just in case. And if we need to pull something in and get another customer done before he's ready, we're good to go. So I think that gets both of us everything we need, sir.
What a day.
As always, we appreciate you getting us involved with this stuff. And yes, as I stated earlier, Mark's going to do his footage for how he started to end of this. Yep. And Dirt Perfect will video every step of this process. So you guys are really 100% going to see nothing to everything and everything in between, which is what I find pretty exciting.
What an exciting day.
All right, so here we are. This is the campground, and we're going to start by giving you guys a really good bird's eye view and an explanation of our thought process here. If we go up here to the top, this is the red shed that you guys saw in the video. This is the circle pond that you saw me take a dimension from the center point over to where the field bed is going to go. So we are going to quickly, oh goodness, let's not do that. We are going to quickly drop some points here if I get to the right thing. This is going to be the border of the Presby system. And it looks like I'm in acres right now, so I'm not going to be able to do this by the foot. But for your guys' reference, this is going to get us close enough for your understanding of where the field bed is going to go. And we're going to kind of work this thing backwards so that you can see and connect in your mind what it is that we did earlier today. Oh, my keyboard ain't working. Field bed. This thing updated, so it's very interesting now. It's a little different than what I had before. And then you have to envision that this pond is going to be filled in, but we would put the proper amount and capacity of storage tanks that are needed for the campsite being 62 campsites and 1 bathhouse. This would be the storage tanks. I'm sure you heard me clicking away there, but my keyboard for some reason isn't working. Not storage ranks, Matt, storage tanks. And then off the end of those storage tanks, we would gravity feed a pump tank, which may ultimately need to be 2 tanks. I'm not for sure yet of what the engineer is going to design, but let's assume that it is 1. That is going to be the pump tank. And no, it's not just going to be in the water. And at that point in time, once we get those installed, we would then connect a line from the pump tank to the bottom corner of the field bed. And that field bed would consist of 70-foot-long pipes connected together in series, like you see here. They would be 1.5 feet apart. We can install this similarly to what you guys have seen us install in the past, residential system-wise, but it needs to be engineering stamped and approved because this is going to be a commercial system. So this would be Presby pipes / pump connection. Oh, I lost it. Why did it not play? Nice. Let's do that again. I'm not going to explain it again because you guys just heard the explanation. But I do want to draw this out so if Dirt Perfect has any questions, he can get a general idea of what we quoted and confirm he agrees with the thought process because he's the guy that's actually going to perform the work. Done. Let's do this again. Presby pipe / pump tank connection. There we go. It saved it that time. So now you can see where everything is going to. Now, we took some elevations all the way over to this tree line because there may be campsites over in here. So we're going to draw this main leg, and it would come over, cross this drive. Now I got to get my bearings straight to make sure I don't go too far. So this is the primitive area. So that main hub would run here. We're going to title that, change the color, make it purple, and do main leg, I guess is really what I should call that. And then we're going to come off of that main leg. And then when I say it that way, that doesn't mean we got to do the main leg first. But we would come off of that main leg, and then we would run all the way down, which actually I took that too far. Let's cancel that. Now that I've got my bearings even more straight, we would connect that here for the actual campsites. Come all the way down this long stretch. And there is a road. You can see where it says Rome Road, Rome Road, Rome Road. Connect that all the way to the far side. Once we get that complete, and then we're going to make this one purple as well. And this would be the 1 row leg. And you'll understand that here in just a second. Now, I'm not going to draw this out every single time, but we would come off of this. There's going to be 14 campsites from this road to that road. So you have to go with me here and understand that there's going to be 14 of these T's that come over and feed the back side of the campsite. So we're going to make that red. And I shouldn't say feed. I should say this is the connection leg. And there's going to be 14 of those. I'll draw a couple of them just to make sure that you guys have a really good understanding of the thought process here. I'm not trying to get this to a specific footage. I'm just trying to get a general understanding. Then we'll go to the far end up here. We'll draw one more for the last campsite, and I believe he held that off the end a little bit because I think he's wanting to widen this inside corner out for these campers to make this turn. All right, that's the last connection leg there on the 1 row pipe. And you guys can see how that lays out there. And then we came over here and we shot a distance roughly right around in here. And this one will also connect to the main hub, but this would end up being the 2 row main. And I'll give you the example as to why we're going to call that a 2 row. Pretty simple, but just to be sure, there's going to be a leg coming off of it on this side. And then there's also going to be a connection coming off of it to this side, because there will be campsites back to back that allows one leg to evacuate. Get the crosshair back up here. So this leg evacuates 1 row of campers in this grassed area, which will turn into gravel. And this leg will allow us to evacuate this campsite, this campsite, this campsite, this campsite, this campsite, this campsite. So there will be a campsite on the left and campsites on the right that essentially end at the exact same point, and this would be the back side of that, which connects all the way up to this leg. And again, for you guys who understand elevations and that poop runs downhill, all of this runs this direction. But if we fill in this corner, that's going to allow us to get elevation increased, bring the elevation up for the drive, which will then get us to the pond portion of this conversation. We're just not there yet. But if all of these pipes run this direction, this pipe would run 2 ways. It would run this direction and then also this direction. So somewhere right around in here, we would have the last pipe that would come over and connect to these storage tanks, which is where all of the effluent, all of the everything in which comes out of a camper while you are camping and you use the restroom, etc., 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 solids and all, would run to these storage tanks. And then after it gets in these storage tanks, and again, the goal here is for that to be a gravity-fed system. So once it gets to the storage tanks. It is now stored in these tanks at a specific capacity per the state requirements and state regulations to then gravity flow into the pump tank, which then all of your solids stay within the larger capacity tanks, and your effluent, which is nothing but nasty water, basically, comes over into your pump tank and gets pumped up to this field bed. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Now, Mark is also wanting to put a pond here. So for a pond to go here, I know this does not have an elevational view, but we know that this is a ditch that runs up through here and comes over and connects to these culvert pipes that we installed, because this water in this area runs this direction, then turns and comes back this direction and comes all the way out the end of this ditch to this ditch, and then comes all the way down and comes under the road and ends up out here in the Ohio River. So in order to build a pond at this location, we're going to have to place a dam from this higher elevation right in here, elevate this driveway by creating the dam, stay 65 feet off of this plus 20, which makes 85. So now we're really close in here to this ditch, but come over here after all this is elevated, turn this back, and now we're working with standard grade. I'm going to straight line all of this, and it comes up into here, and then there's a peninsula that kind of comes out, a high bank, and it rolls back around to this ditch, comes up that ditch, and I'm not going to draw that ditch all the way out because we're going to have to stop the water from going any further so that this pipe is not in water. So we're just going to come over here, place another line, and then the water would run all the way over here into this area, come close to these trees. We've got another low spot in here that we might need to throw a dam in, not 100% certain, but we know for a fact from right here at the end of this tree line, it definitely drops off, and then this is the low point, and then it picks back up over into this area, so we would have to dam off from there to there, and then that dam would tie into the high point of the bank, and we may be able to stop our core short, assuming this tests well. Stop our core short, or go ahead and continue our core all the way over into this high side. So this would be kind of the, let's call it the pond perimeter. Oh my goodness, I can't type that out at all. Pond outskirts. Now that kind of gives you guys a really good view of what we're going to try to accomplish here. We may not have this much water. However, the goal would be to ensure access, ensure campsite, get the water as close to that as possible with a good slope so that everything is filling in this pond. And then also at the end of this ditch, as you guys saw in the video, that ditch connects to this entire field. And if you all go back in Dirt Perfect's videos on YouTube, we installed a lot of field tile out in here, and I mean a lot. So all of that field tile and this entire ditch line has surface water that comes down through here. We have an outlet for that drainage tile right up in here. So this water has to be mitigated in some way, shape, or form. And the way I'm going to list that out is if we can straight line this thing and get down here to this ditch, which essentially is right here, and come under the road, because again, we've got to reconstruct this road, which means we've got to taper our slopes on the left and the right. So when you go up in elevation, you have to also go out in width, even though the driveway may stay 20 feet at the top. But if we can straight line that right through here, I have not gotten approval from DP on this one, but I'm going to call this under pond drainage for ag field. And a lot of you might say, under pond drainage? Yes, we cannot build a dam here without putting an evacuation pipe to get the water that's going to come out of this field under the pond. And the reason I state that is we do not want to change the water line. Where is that water today? Because we have a river. So we know over here at this pump house that's hidden by these trees right here, we know at this pump house it has a 35-foot well before they hit water. 35 feet isn't very much, and I'm sure they went beyond the first point in which they hit water. I don't know if that's 10 feet. I don't know if that's 5 feet, but we know that we do have the ability to carve some of this ground out, assuming it tests well and it's going to hold water, but we don't want to take a whole lot of it out. If we were to dam this up and not put a pipe under our water, we would change this water table, and essentially this entire field would hold the same elevation of water as we put into this pond. So this pipe, to evacuate this field, would require being under the water. So if we dig through this hillside and we carve it out to get some depth to this pond, we still have to go lower with this pipe to then be able to put dirt back over that pipe and then water on top of the dirt, which should hold the pipe in place. And again, I haven't ran this by DP yet. It's just a wild and crazy idea because this customer really wants a pond here to add some curb appeal and some really cool features to his campground, as he does plan on this being a official business that is legitimate. And if he can add some really nice characteristics, it may be a great marketing tool to promote campers to come in and stay. So hopefully that gives you guys a much better picture of what the thought process is, how we're going to accomplish it. And again, this was us taking rough dimensions to make sure that it could work, which we're pretty confident it can work. So now what it comes down to is Mark has to send his drawings to an engineering firm. That engineering firm is going to have to come out and take datum points everywhere to get this system laid out from end to end, to storage tanks, to field bed, and that will have to be approved by the state. So hopefully that helps you guys get a really good understanding after the boots on the ground approach, and will allow you to see what we're talking about. Right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, like, comment, subscribe, look at the bass in the corner of the pond, and share away.